Well, good morning, everyone. How are y'all doing?
Good.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. All right. Well, it's wonderful to see you all here today. Genesis is a community dedicated to love, inspiring harmony, and creating connections to empower spiritual growth, and we love that you are here to share in that with us today. My name is Dave, and I will be your host this morning. Our online host today is Cal. So if you're watching online, if this is your first time, or you just want to say something online to us and say hey to us, shout it out to Cal there. All right, so we will move into our mission and vision statements. Our mission. We are building a vibrant community, cultivating a garden of spiritual growth, honoring vulnerability, creating a safe space of comfort and peace where all are welcome and accepted in our vision. Genesis is a bright beacon with an unshakable heart of love, accepting all. Genesis is a home for the soul where we each creatively express our spiritual brilliance. Cool. All right. Well, we will go to our announcements now. Or as Randy likes to say, a terrible death to die, because we love Randy's humor. All right. All right. Monday we have Healers and Hunters. All right. Genesis is a place where men get together, connect with each other, and share what is going on with their lives. And that is hosted by me and Jim Monson. And we are going to do the 7 laws of spiritual success. So if that sounds interesting to you, join me in that, and that is starting tomorrow. As we approach the final stretch of the year, there's still time to reflect on your pledges that bless and support your spiritual community. At Genesis Center for Spiritual Living, we encourage you to think about contributing to our continued growth and welcome being by recommitting to your pledge into the years to come. We are immensely grateful for your generosity, which helps keep the lights on and the doors of our center wide open and spiritually fed. Book study is canceled for today as the practitioners are getting together. Or sorry, we take the space every once in a while for us, but come together next week and keep enjoying that Richard Ware awesomeness. Wednesday night, we have Intention Circle with Karen Williams and Cynthia Zink, and you should join in that every day to just manifest the great goodness in their lives. They're awesome at doing this. And we'll continue on the Science of Mind textbook in a year. Karen Williams is following a guide to read the entire Science of Mind textbook in 1 year every day. You will find this posted on her Facebook page, Karen L. Williams RSVP, and the Genesis family page. Follow them to get all of Ernesta's awesomeness. Yes, I added that. That's not in the script. But. All right. Is there anyone here for Genesis for the first time today? If not, we'd love to hear from you. Ooh. Yes. Go ahead. How did you find Genesis? Would you like to introduce yourselves? We're a loving and opening community. Not too long to call.
Actually, I used to go to Genesis when it was, what was the name of that church down there?
It was Christian Science.
It was Genesis. Yeah, Andrea. And it was a few years ago, and I recently am looking to come back, and I went online and found you guys moved over here, so.
Well, welcome, Andrea. Thank you. Yeah, the old Genesis. Yep, we're at our new space. We love our new home, so thank you for joining us here today. And I have another hand.
I am an Andrea also, and your compliments of the drummer today.
All right. Well, welcome, Andreas, to our space today. All right. Well, now's the time that we get to meet and greet each other. So, Andrea and everyone else, let's get up and say hi to each other and have a hug or a handshake, whatever's comfortable.
I know it's not
see you.
Okay, good to see you. Good to be back.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll probably be around for a while.
Oh, good. Okay.
And trust me, there will be plenty of time for us all hugging on each other and loving on each other after service. But that's what we're here for, so we'll get to. So right now, I would like to take this time to thank everyone that is in service today. On setup and cleanup, we have Eric, Gideon, Soren, Cal, and if I missed anybody else's names who are part of that, I apologize. Those are just the ones I have written down, but I really appreciate your support in doing all that. Our morning greeter today was Cynthia. Projector video, we have the Mike and Eric team. Offering collection is Gideon. Soren, online host is Cal. Our service practitioner today is Cynthia, and our musicians are Joe, ChrintineEss, and Pete Beresford. So thank you all for being here today. And we are so grateful for all the volunteers that show up every Sunday. Our team is a village here, and Genesis works because of the love of that village. Our service practitioner today, as I said before, is Cynthia Zink. And if you want to get some prayer from Cynthia, she'll just meet us after the service. And get in line quick, because I know that when Cynthia's the anchoring practitioner, you know, everyone lines up to get prayer from her. So just make sure you're in line for that. So right now, I just invite us all to listen to ChrintineEss as we sing our centering song, Breathe and Turn With It.
How you breathe and turn within, how Good morning, Genesis.
Yeah.
My name is Cynthia Zink, and I'm one of the practitioners here at Genesis, and I'm happy to be in service today. My reading for today comes from a book called Living the Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, and they are short readings. Today's because we are in a month where we're talking about giving, and I am going to be reading Ernest Holmes' thoughts on divine givingness. It is the nature of spirit to give. Spirit is the essence of life, as well as the intelligence back of everything. It is complete and perfect within itself. It is all power and all presence. We have nothing to offer nature other than a willingness to cooperate with her laws. If we are to demonstrate that the divine givingness is a principle in the universe, then we must set up a receiving center. For no matter how abundantly the horn of plenty may pour out its universal gifts, there must be a bowl of acceptance, a chalice of expectancy, or the gift cannot be complete. The divine givingness is from eternity to eternity. Our receivingness may be spasmodic, but many great souls have, through faith, reached back of the appearance to the cause of things and received directly and constantly from the divine bounty. The reason we do not all do this is because we do not believe that there is a divine givingness. The Spirit not only gives, but it also creates the channel through which this giving may become our receiving. In other words, the bowl of acceptance, which we hold beneath the outpouring horn of plenty, is itself a part of the divine givingness. For how could there be a givingness unless there were an equal receivingness? It is receivingness which fulfills the givingness, and the interaction is complete only when our bowl of acceptance is full. It is the divine will that we should receive, but since we are individuals, even the divine will cannot compel us to receive that which we refuse to accept. Therefore, our part in the divine givingness is to have faith and to cooperate with the law of abundance. In the beginning means before any particular creation takes place. Before our request was made in the beginning, before the treatment was given, the state of being already existed, which made possible the fulfillment of our desires. There were no prior conditions to impose themselves upon the creation of our desire. Believe in divine givingness. Believe that it is the divine will that you should receive the divine givingness and then consciously accept it. This sounds simple, but the meaning is profound and describes a perfect method of procedure. Frequently, when we reduce an abstract thought to a simple statement, we feel that we have lost its significance. Such is not the case. The wisest man who ever lived said, "As thou hast believed, so be it done unto you." And so if you would now join me in prayer. So we turn right now to that source of all that is good, that source that gives us everything that we need, everything that we have, and more. That source that supplies us with all of our needs and more. That source that is around, in, and through each of us. All we have to do is accept. We put our bowl of acceptance below the horn of plenty, ready to receive. And whether that bowl is just a small cereal bowl or a big water barrel, ready to receive what God has to give, it is up to us how we are ready to receive. And that in that receiving, I am grateful. I'm grateful this morning for Reverend James as he shares his words of wisdom with us. I'm grateful for our musicians today. I'm grateful for each of you that are here in person and those of you that are online. It is with much gratitude that I move now, especially into this week of Thanksgiving, knowing that God has given me all that I need, all that I have, and is ready to give me even more. And I know these words are true. I know that they are all there is, and that all is well, and that all is good. And so it is. And so now please welcome back ChrintineEss, our vocalist for today, Joel Feldman on the keyboard, and Pete Beresford on percussion.
It's amazing. Thank you, ChrintineEss. A brand new gratitude. That's what I have to be speaking here today. And I'm going to carry that brand new gratitude into the Thanksgiving season. So today, we're going to talk about our affirmation is, I am holy just the way I am, and I see holiness around me. And this is our gratitude affirmation. Let's say it together just once. I am holy just the way I am, and I see holiness around us. Actually, let's say it a couple more times. I am holy just the way I am, and I see holiness around me. So that's good. We've managed to do it, the complexity of affirmations. But we do. I see holiness around me, and we know that this is our true nature. I like the singing we do in community. You know, it builds community. It's good. It relaxes us. It improves our memory. You know, singing together at church will make your memory better. So maybe it helps you remember the words. But this is one of the benefits. You know, since scientists have begun studying religion, they find, and singing, they get to find these attributes. I'm going to start this week with the Argonauts. We're going to do, because the Argonauts are in a situation that's similar to the first Thanksgiving. I'll talk about the first Thanksgiving, and then we'll jump to another holiday that's celebrated at this time. But our Argonauts, so you remember Jason and the Argonauts, we've been following them for months now, it seems. And they made it all the way to Colchis and got the Golden Fleece, and coming back from the Golden Fleece, Jason made some mistakes, but Medea's Aunt Circe had a ritual of forgiveness that enabled them to get past the mistakes. And as we all make mistakes, it's good for us all to be able to harness that forgiveness within us, to bring up our own internal Aunt Circe to help us with that. This week, they encounter an advanced civilization, and they have to figure out, it's almost science fiction-like. And what happened, so 3,500 years ago, this was really sort of in the time of Abraham and Sarah, when there were not many civilizations, and the advanced civilization was Crete. So this was half a millennium before Troy. Crete was a trading civilization. They had ships all over the Eastern Mediterranean that could outrun, could outgun all the other ships. And they didn't use it for piracy. They used it for trading. And they were a very wealthy civilization. They were a palace-based civilization. So everybody on the island of Crete lived in a palace. They had their rooms. There was common food. The farmers would go out and tend the fields, and the fishers would go out and catch fish, and then everybody had their job to do. And then the traders would trade different elements they would use. So Jason and the Argonauts, still trying to sail back home, come across the island of Crete. And what happens in the story is they accidentally land on Crete in the dark, so they don't know what it is. And when they wake up in the morning, they see Talos, which is a bronze giant. And this is depicted in the movie as like a giant robot, you know, huge in the sky. And it's possible that Crete had a statue of that, but I want to talk to you about some technology, ancient world technology we know about. When the Romans, so Archimedes is our ancient world genius. He's the Da Vinci of Greece 2,300 years ago. He's the one, he's most famous, you know him for like sitting in a bathtub and watching the water spill over and saying, "Eureka, I found it." Because he discovered a way to measure the weight of gold by the displacement of water. Anyway, that's not the story we're talking about. We're talking about his inventions. And one of them was a giant hook. So when the Romans went to attack Syracuse, his city, it would pick up their boats, lift them out of the water, and smash them on the ground. He also had something called burning mirrors, which would set the ships on fire as they came close. So that sounds harsh, but the Romans, in fairness, were trying to conquer the city. And so this is the sort of thing I imagined. So Talos was something that would pick up ships and smash them to the ground. And so you can imagine this kind of technology could exist, 1,500 years before Christ, sort of in the time when the pyramids were new. They had this kind of technology. They had it in India too. There was a city in on the Ganges Basin where they had plumbing as advanced as our plumbing was, sort of like 150 years ago. 3,500 years ago. So there's lots of stuff going on in the ancient world that archaeologists are just figuring out now and separating the myth from the fact. So what happened? We had this, Talos is wanting to smash the ship, and the warriors, the Argonauts, the mightiest warriors in all of Greece, are going to attack it, but their swords make no difference. It's made out of metal. And Medea just stands and looks, and she observes how it's working. And then she says, its right ankle, its right heel looks weak. Why don't you attack there? And they go and they attack it, and something comes out that they say is blood, but really it seems more like hydraulic fluid to me. And one can imagine ancient hydraulics operating some kind of a metal device that smashed ships. But whatever it was, Talos goes down, and they can get in their ship and sail away. And this is our our spunky, gallant little crew making its way, but not just by might, but by paying attention to the feminine side. Medea represents the divine feminine, and the willingness to observe, not just to impose your will on something, but look and say, look, there's something holy about this. And where do we find this, let's make a hole in the heel. Anyway, so this is how Jason and the Argonauts survived that. And it's our first clash of civilizations. The next one comes with the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag. The Wampanoag was, I'm going to start, so the Pilgrims were Puritans. They loved Christianity, and they really felt it in their heart like we do. They knew that God was within them. They knew that God was all around us. But they thought everybody else was doing it wrong, and God was mad at them. And the Puritans were mad at them too, and they wanted to go someplace where people weren't doing religion wrong. So they moved to Holland. And Holland was working out for them until they had kids, and their kids grew up speaking Dutch and thinking their parents were old fogies for not speaking Dutch. And they're like, can we live someplace where we don't have to live with non-Puritans, but our kids don't learn to speak Dutch? And the Virginia colony had been founded by then, and so they thought, let's go to Virginia. And they got together enough money to buy a ship and head for Virginia. One of the things, so they ended up not landing in Virginia. Through navigational errors, they ended up in Massachusetts instead. Plymouth Rock is at it's where the Cape Cod Peninsula meets the mainland of Massachusetts, but it's still pretty windswept. They landed there, and it was a pretty rough winter. They had supplies. They didn't really, almost half of them died before the next harvest. So they were having a hard time. And they talked a lot about Abraham and Sarah. They really, if you read the writings of people from the early United States, they each thought of themselves as like their own Abraham and Sarah. Back when Abraham and Sarah lived in a place where there were people, but God said, you'll create your own country. You will bring my message here. And they were always running into God and talking with God. One of my favorite stories is Abraham is just like hanging out with Sarah in the desert, and he sees 3 guys walking by, and he says, it's God and 2 angels. Slaughter a sheep. We're going to invite them here for a feast. And I like to think that if I were just hanging around and I saw 3 guys wandering by, if they were God and 2 angels, I would know it. And I'd stop doing what I was doing and invite them over. Abraham also did something, you don't hear this much. It's in Genesis 14 though. So at some point, so his nephew Lot was living in Sodom, and at some point 4 kings came and captured Sodom and took Lot prisoner, and they took a lot of other Sodom residents prisoner too. And Abraham got the word that his nephew had been taken prisoner. And he went and he allied with 4 other locals near him, and they got together 318 fighting men. And they went and they found where they were keeping Lot and the prisoners, and they attacked at darkness from all directions. These soldiers there were just panicked and ran away, and so they captured everything and you know, they were taking it back. The king of Sodom heard about this and said, I'd like some of my people and the stuff they took from me back too. And Melchizedek is the king who sponsored the talking between them and arranged for the king of Sodom to get all the Sodom stuff and for Lot to get his stuff. And Abraham was so grateful, he gave Melchizedek 10% of everything he'd gained. He was like, thank you for arranging this. Thank you for making it so that the king of Sodom and I can work together and give you 10%. And this is one of the early stories of tithing. But it also shows, you know, Abraham, he had the 2 aspects. There was definitely him as a warrior. He was like, I'm taking what I want. That we're not so sure we like all of that aspect of the pilgrims in early New England. We do like the aspect where he allied with people. He found neighbors to ally with. So the next story starts in 1614, and it's somebody called Squanto. I don't know if people know about Squanto. His actual name is Tisquantum, which I'll call it. I'll call him Tisquantum because why not use his name? And he was taken prisoner by Captain Thomas Hunt, who was an English explorer. Thomas Hunt kidnapped 4 Wampanoag people and brought them back to England. Tisquantum's the only one who made it back to Massachusetts. But in his 5 years in England, Tisquantum, he knew what he wanted. He saw England, he learned how to speak English fluently, he learned about the technology of England, he learned how to do crafts and how to take care of himself, and he really just wanted to go home. And so he found a ship and made it back home in 1619. He went to his home village of Paxtucket and found that everyone was dead because of a pandemic that just wiped everybody out. And they found that about half of the Wampanoag tribe had been wiped out by the pandemics that were running rampant back in those days. And so when the Pilgrims arrived and were having a hard time their first winter in Plymouth Rock, a guy came over who spoke English fluently, greeted them, welcomed them, was happy to see them, and introduced them to the ways of America. He taught them, you know, famously how to plant corn and how you use a fish as fertilizer. You know, the Pilgrims were like, you eat fish. And he said, well, the fish can feed you or it can feed the corn, and then the corn will feed you. After their first harvest was so successful, they invited the Wampanoag over, and they came over. There were about 60 Pilgrims left out of 101 who set off, and 90 Wampanoag. But they had a 3-day feast. They didn't eat turkey or cranberry sauce, but they did, they did have deer and corn and roasted meats and lots of vegetables. And they played ball games. So balls were something they all had in common, and sang and danced. So this was the first Thanksgiving. And they made a peace treaty. After the 3 days of celebrating together, the head of the Wampanoag and the Pilgrims signed a peace treaty, and the peace treaty lasted for 50 years. It lasted beyond the lifetime of all of the people who signed it. So I know, you know, when you Google the Wampanoag, they're not very happy that they were hosting at the first Thanksgiving. But it was a brief and, it was a glorious shining moment. It was a moment when everybody could get together. Oh, the reason they wanted a peace treaty was that when the Narragansett tribe that lived north of them found out that so many of the Wampanoag had died of pandemic, they were like, well, we'll take over. So the Wampanoag needed an ally. And the Pilgrims didn't have so many numbers, but they did have guns and knew how to use them. So this was helpful for the Wampanoag-Narragansett relations. They didn't actually ever fight because the Narragansetts were like, oh, never mind. You can keep your area. So these guys were grateful. They were grateful they'd made, as many of them as had made it through the first winter, made it to the harvest. It was a plentiful harvest, so they lost hardly anybody, going to the winter of 1622. And they really managed to turn Massachusetts into a colony, a successful colony. Interestingly, my distant relative, my relatives have lots of things to say about these guys, but I hail from the Scottish MacGregor clan, and the first MacGregor came to New England about the time the Pilgrims did. And so I'm sure they knew each other because there were about 100 English-speaking people in Massachusetts at the time. He was a captain. My guess is he transported goods. He transported people. So they probably all knew him because he was bringing new settlers into the Massachusetts area. Yeah, he was. There were a number of disputes between the Campbells and the MacGregors, and the Campbells, King James was on the side of the Campbells against my ancestors, the MacGregors. So the MacGregors really got the worst of all these fights. And this MacGregor decided, let's live someplace other than England. I don't need all this noise. So Thanksgiving it originated as a New England holiday, and they ended up celebrating it all through the 1700s and 1800s. It was in 1863 Abraham Lincoln seized upon it as a holiday because the nation was so riven and so distressed. He needed something to be grateful for. He needed a holiday where people could think of, like, there's so many awful things that we can look at. Is there anything, what about all our blessings? Can we look at our blessings? Can we be grateful for all our blessings? And it's been a holiday ever since. So thank you, Abraham Lincoln. Thank you to Squantum. And thank you, the Wampanoag and the Pilgrims, for knowing when to make allies. Another festival, it's just ended. It's a 5-day festival, and it's Diwali, the Festival of Lights. And my sister-in-law ended up making a movie about one of the origins of Diwali. The Diwali celebrates, Rama was a guy who was the 7th incarnation of the avatar Vishnu, Vishnu is the god of preserving and protecting what exists. Sita is his consort. She is the goddess. She is of creation and prosperity. And she's associated with auspiciousness, purity, and devotion. So Rama and Sita, what had happened was they got separated and they were exiled. And Diwali celebrates bringing them back into the light. And when they came back into Ayodhya, their kingdom, they lit oil lanterns all over the place so that everybody could see them returning. The Hindu gods, there's Brahma is the god of creation. And so this, I think we all know that God is one, but these are different aspects. And it helps us think more about God. There's the part of God that's creating. There's a part of God which is called Brahma. Vishnu is the god of sustaining, of making things last, of protecting the good things that we have. And then Shiva is the god, they usually say Shiva is the god of destruction. Shiva is also the god of transformation. Things change. They don't stay the way they used to be. You know, that's what happened in New England. Things transformed when the Europeans showed up. Some of it was good, some of it we don't like so much, but things definitely transformed. Shakti is the female version of actually Shakti is both the god of transformation and creation. So the feminine divine in India gets a double role. So Rama and Sita are living in the woods. Rama is actually supposed to be king of Ayodhya, but there's a war, there are complications, and he ends up living in the woods while geopolitical matters sort of fix themselves. He's like, it's okay, me and Sita, we're cool, we'll be in the woods. Ravenna represents the ego and arrogance and like, I want that. And even though Sita is perfectly happy with Rama and they're the ideal couple, Ravenna kidnaps her and says, you have to marry me. And then Rama comes home from, where he was out hunting and finds, oh no, Sita's gone, what do I do? And luckily he knows friends. This is the natural world. Hanuman is the monkey king, and Hanuman represents the wisdom of nature and the fact that nature is, sort of our earthly part that extends everywhere. And so Hanuman tells all the monkeys, Sita is missing. Has anybody seen Sita? Does anybody know where she is? And they find out somebody did see Ravenna bringing her down to his kingdom, which is an island called Lanka. We call it Sri Lanka now, but Lanka back in the day. And so Rama and his brother Lakshman and the monkey army went down and recaptured Sita from Ravenna. It is interesting. Ravenna, as much as he was arrogant and as much as he was, craving things, really didn't harm Sita. He just kept her. He said, "Marry me, marry me." She was like, "I'm already married. Can't do it, buddy." So this is the victory. This is when we turn our attention from what we want and what we need into like what there is lovely in the world, what the world can do for us. And so we turn aside from the ego and the arrogance and we move into enjoying other people's prosperity, enjoying the good other people have had, enjoying the beauty of the world. And this is what we're grateful for. My Sikh friends celebrate Diwali as the festival of liberation, because it was around this time that the fifth guru of Sikhism was freed from captivity. And so they're grateful for freedom, and they think about freedom and liberation. And so that's another thing we can think about these days. Freedom, liberation. I think we get free by turning away from wanting to possess things, to feeling like only I get it, nobody else. Ravenna could have enjoyed, thinking about Sita and Rama together as much as any of us, but he's like, only me. So it is important to know what you want, and to be honest with yourself. Like not be grateful with something just because you're supposed to be. This is one of the issues sometimes people have with Thanksgiving holiday. You should be grateful. And I think there are things everybody can be grateful for, but really you don't want to be shooting all over yourselves. And Albert Schweitzer was a physician who lived in Africa and started a hospital. He he cured like thousands and thousands of people. And he won the Nobel Peace Prize, I think partly because when they had, during World War I, everybody was fighting, but they all honored Schweitzer, and they let Schweitzer keep his medical establishment going all through the war. So he was in Norway to receive his Nobel Peace Prize, and he was sitting next to the Queen of Norway, and the Queen of Norway gave him a plate full of herring. Who wouldn't want that? It's Norway's national dish. Smell that's deliciousness. That texture, that's what the Norwegians all crave. Well, Schweitzer was not of this mind. He did not think herring was not his cup of tea. So when the Queen was looking the other direction, he dumped all the herring into his pocket and then put the plate back. And the Queen said, "Oh, look, you ate your herring so fast. You must love it. Can I give you more?" And the lesson Albert Schweitzer got from this is, if people are trying to be nice to you, you don't have to lie to them. You don't have to pretend. You can be honest. You can say, you know, I know you Norwegians love herring, but really, you know, it's not my cup of tea. I'll take some of the other dishes. And he would have been much happier. So he got to tell this story. And it helped because he was in the helping profession. And when you're in the helping profession, you always think you know what the other people want. And it's really up to the other person. It's up to us to tell the helper that not this one. And of course, you know, we know, you know, that's leaning into vulnerability, which is one of our beliefs, or at least it's in our mission. You know, the willingness to stand up and say, I wish I loved herring, but I really can't stomach it. No, it's really wasted on me, excuse me. There are other people who would love it much more than I would. And so that's another lesson for us to learn. So Albert Schweitzer knows that he was holy just the way he was, and he saw holiness around him. And this is something that Rama and Sita saw. Even when Sita was trapped by Ravenna, she knew she was safe. She knew she was holy just the way she was, and she saw holiness around her. She was safe with Ravenna. He wasn't going to hurt her, but he wasn't going to let her go either. And so she did need rescuing. The Wampanoag and the Pilgrims made an alliance. It was a critical alliance for the Pilgrims. You know, if not for, and for the Wampanoag. I mean, as much as they may have regretted, you know, what happened when the alliance broke 50 years later, for 50 years it kept the Wampanoag and the settlers happy and working together as best they could. There was some cultural clash. The Puritan God, the great spirit of the Wampanoag, you know, the seeing holiness in everything and everywhere around us, was very different than the Puritan Father God, Heavenly Father God that had everything perfect in heaven and would look down at all this stuff on earth and say, you people are better than this. This is how the Puritans saw their God. And you know, we appreciate feeling the power of God within you, and we see the way they were trying to help people by converting them to Puritanism. Didn't really work for everybody. So I want to, let's right now do a Tai Chi before we, so we have done in the past, Embrace Tiger, Return to Mountaintop. And I think that works for I am holy just the way I am, because the tiger represents our life so far, cuddly and fierce, like the Pilgrims, like Jason and the Argonauts, like Rama and Sita. cuddly and fierce. And return to mountaintop, which is where we've never left, the infinite, the universal, heaven on earth. And this is I see holiness around me. So we can do this sitting, or I think it's easier standing, and let's just do it 3 times. So I am holy just the way I am, and I see holiness around me. So together, I am holy just the way I am, and I see holiness around me. I am holy just the way I am, and I see holiness around me. Last time. I am holy just the way I am, and I see holiness around me. And let's bring that attitude of knowing that we're holy just the way we are, with all our faults, with all our beautiful superpowers. We are holy just the way we are, and we can see the holiness in each other. We can see the holiness in everywhere and everything around us. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I will talk for a little bit. It's about time to fill out our prayer cards, which we've got on our seats. On one side, it has a prayer. So if there's anything you want or need or would like to have a prayer for, a celebration, it's good to write it down, because the prayer cards go to our practitioners, and our practitioners will pray very powerfully every day over them. There's also a card for any demonstrations. If you've had something wonderful happen in your life and you want to acknowledge it and acknowledge that, the practitioners will acknowledge it, and this will help your prayer life. It will make it more powerful, because you're acknowledging, written down, the power of prayer in your life. So thank you. And now ChrintineEss to sing something else wonderful and bring a new gratitude into our life.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night, and I think to myself,
Thank you for that. Let's give them another round of applause for their beautiful musicianship. Our center is supported by God, and we welcome you to be part of how God's support shows up. If you are on Facebook, please visit our website at genesiscsl.org, or you can text your tithe to 206-800-7595. Let us take a moment to craft our financial gift. Joel, if you want to play a little bit. So now if you'd like to take your offering envelope and your prayer card and hold it next to your heart as we say our offering blessing together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am thankful. And so now Gideon will collect your offerings and your prayer cards. And while we do that, let's please stand and sing.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
So it is with open hearts that we receive these gifts, knowing the fruits that come forth do powerful works. And we bless the givers, knowing that as we give, we receive tenfold. In deep gratitude, we give thanks. And so it is.
So it is.
So thank you for joining us today. Please join us after service for food and fellowship. Wishing every one of you to have a week filled with joy and love and true connection. And let us do our closing song.